Pirelli GT4 America season concludes this weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and both the Silver and Pro-Am championships remain in the balance. The RS1 duo of Stephen McAleer and Eric Filgaris need just one 8th place finish across 2 races to clinch their championship this weekend, while 4 teams remain in striking distance for the Pro-Am crown. Hello everyone and welcome to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. My name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside. Amanda Busick is down in a very chilly pit lane this morning in central Indiana as we get set for the first of 2 races this weekend for Pirelli GT4 America. Calvin, everyone talking about championships at this late stage in the season. We know the AM class is done and dusted, but there's still a lot in play. Certainly to some degree in Silver, but definitely in the Pro-Am class.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, the conditions are cool, but these championships are hot coming in here. As you said, the AM title was wrapped up early with the Bimmer World team. James Clay, Charlie Poston's doing a great job there. But for Silver, we're talking about the dominance of Eric Filgaris and Stephen McAleer. 9 wins from the 12 races run so far. They hold a 47-point lead. They don't need to do a lot here today, but the way these championships have been going, anything can happen, and they're on the front row, on the pole position, but alongside them is that team that are chasing them, Conquest Racing. So they're in position to really give them a hard time in the race here today. They have to go out and win, get the maximum points just to keep this title alive. It should be a fun one.
No doubt about it. A lot of pressure. As you can see, it is a cool morning, somewhere just north of 40 degrees Fahrenheit, 8.7 degrees Celsius, and it's not supposed to warm up too much for the main event coming up later today, the Indianapolis 8-hour. Well, down in the cool pit lane is our Amanda Busick. Amanda, what have you found out before the second to last race of the season?
Well, it was about 40 degrees as we kick off this race, and while the ambient temperatures are rising, you will see that there are still shadows that are here kind of on the front straight here in Indianapolis. I was talking to some of the teams of what they are going to do to get heat into those tires, and as they leave us here heading into turn 1, you'll see some of the tires maneuvering around trying to pick up some of that heat and scrubbing the tires, but really it's in the braking. The harder you can get on the braking in these 2 pace laps we have this morning, the idea is that the heat in the tires will come from the center out. I was talking to some of the teams, and they actually said that they wish they had 4 pace laps here this morning, but I expect turn 1 here as we get this race started could be pretty interesting, guys.
Thanks, Amanda. I think you're right. This certainly could be an interesting turn 1 on these cold tires. You'll see the starting grid up on the screen. Look for your favorite team, driver and or manufacturer there. No tire warmers in Pirelli GT4 America, Calvin, unlike what we see for Fanatec GT, and that does put a lot of importance on these 2 formation laps to make sure everything is ready to go.
It really does, and I think Amanda is spot on. Basically what the drivers are doing is driving the car with 1 foot on the brake pedal, 1 foot on the gas pedal, just trying to drag that brake, generate that brake temperature, which then comes up through the upright and into the wheel and into the tire ultimately. But it's still going to be tricky here on these opening laps, particularly that first corner. If you're mid-pack and you suddenly activate that ABS, somewhat you're a little bit out of control because your braking is certainly reduced, and if you're in the middle of the pack, it may be hard to avoid contact down as it funnels down into turn 1 here today.
As ever, an impressive field of GT4 cars, 31 in total across 3 classes, Pro-Am, Silver, and AM set to go. They'll start to get into 2x2 alignment. This is turns 12 and 13, the 14-turn layout this year at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, 2.44 miles in length, and it all starts with that 5/8 of a mile run down the main straightaway across the Yard of Bricks, where they will take the green flag through the VP acceleration zone here to get this race started. Then the tight right-hand bend, 90 degrees at the end of the front straightaway where it tightens up. It might be room enough for 5 wide on entry. It certainly is not at the apex. So we'll see how this field manages the treacherous turn 1. Big jump from McAleer, the overall pole seater, as the green flag waves. Mackay Stevens slots into line. He knows he must finish ahead of McAleer and then hope for some misfortune for the RS1 team to challenge for a championship. It's 3, 4, and 5 wide further back.
Nice jump there by Kevin Conway. He slides into turn 1 in that 5th position aboard that Supra. So everyone's kept it pretty tidy here, and this is going to be a lap where you just got to really utilize your experience that Stephen McAleer has to feel this car out, feel the grip, don't exceed it. Adam Adelson down the inside, he's in championship contention. That was a wild move there that he tried to put there on Toledo.
Great qualifying effort from Custodio Toledo to start 5th overall, the top AM class car. And absolutely, you're right. Adelson knows every position crucial as he is in that tight Pro-Am championship battle.
He's 10 points back, but Scott Noble has not had a great start there. He's dropped about 3 or 4 positions. You'll see him come into view shortly. Similar livery, black and yellow on his car as well. That NOLA Sport entry, number 47. He and Jason Hart had a great weekend at Sebring and grabbed that championship lead at the penultimate event. Yellow flag's out, there's a spin.
Couple of cars off Tim Horrell, the BMW around that you see in the backdrop there. He's driving with Toby Grahovic this weekend. His usual co-driver, Rafa Matos, seeking a Trans Am championship in VIR, so he relinquishes the seat to the team owner, but not a great start to their first race of the weekend, and that was a sketchy moment further back in the pack with the Porsche off in the grass.
Yeah, Scott Noble there trying to get inside of the Aston Martin. He realized he's got to get up on the wheel here. He's lost a lot of ground to Adelson. That's a big points change right there as they run.
2 silver class cars running, 1-2, McAleer, Stevens. Then you get to the top car in Pro-Am, Gray Newell, who is driving with a lot of confidence this weekend, had a great run yesterday in GT America, powered by AWS. He'll start on pole tomorrow for their season finale. He holds the Pro-Am lead ahead of Ross Schwest, who won in GT America, the GT4 class yesterday.
This is first and second in the Silver Championship. 47 points between them right now, but there's nothing between these two cars. Mackay Stevens in the draft of Stephen Mackler as they hit the brakes for turn 7.
Stevens very philosophical when I spoke to him earlier the weekend. They know their chances are slim, but they're focused on the task at hand. And the first task is to find a way by Stephen McAleer in that RS1 Porsche that, Calvin, has dominated the silver class this year.
They have, as we talked about, just so many victories, but they've had a few problems along the way. They had that DNF at Road America that really hurt them in terms of maintaining that massive lead. Otherwise, the title would have been sealed at Sebring. So Conquest Racing are keeping the pressure on. Other than the NOLA event, they've been on the podium every single race. And there is really just strategy that kind of turned them upside down.
We saw Tim Horrell go for a spin. Evidently, there was contact with Austin Smith in another BMW. That incident under review by race control. Look at the massive lead these 2 silver class cars have built over the rest of the field. It's 4 seconds from the top 2 to the leaders in Pro-Am. Newell, Schwest, and then Conway runs there in the 5th position overall, 3rd placed car in silver.
You could really see that Stephen Mackler really gapped Mackay Stevens down this front straightaway as you hit the yard of Brex, admittedly in the opposite direction to the Indy 500, but it's really a nice feel when you run over that and you hear that little noise. You remember where you are at. Iconic venue here in Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Scott Noble, to update you on the Pro-Am Championship contender, mentioned his struggles in qualifying, but he's up a spot around Moisey Uretsky, now runs 5th in that class, 12th overall, but a ways behind these 2 cars that lead his class. And drawing a bead on them, Adam Adelson, he's closed in on the back of Conway. Here's Sabo going up the inside of Custodio Toledo. That's not for class position. Sabo 4th in Pro-Am, had a big crash yesterday in GT America. Looked like some kind of a braking issue and actually ended up hitting Adam Adelson, and that had implications for that GT4 championship.
It really did. It really has made a big dent into Adam Adelson's championship opportunities there with a DNF. But they come into this race, Elias Sabo and Andy Lee, 33 points out of the lead, so it's not over yet, but they need a really strong result. And most importantly, they have to somehow beat that 47 car from Motorsport Sport to keep it alive.
Down to Amanda in the pit lane.
Well, I was just talking to Gavin Sanders about this championship between Conquest Racing and RS1. And Ryan, as you mentioned, they say that a lot of luck has to go their way. So when you look at this race at hand, what are some of the goals coming into this one then?
Definitely to finish the season out strong. It's been a spectacular journey with this group and Mackay, and just to learn off of this spectacular group of people is really something special, and it shows you what this sport really is all about. So closing it off with a proverbial, hopefully a podium and maybe a win, and we'll try our best to get both of those, that's for sure.
Well, there's no secret it's been a battle between you guys and the Porsche all season. Is there something to that competition that allows you to improve as a driver?
Yeah, when it gets intense, as it has been all year like that, it really forces you to step up to the next level if you want to take it to the guys who are kicking butt. So we're just working our butts off to make something happen in terms of that, and that's all we can do this year. That's for sure.
Are you staying warm?
Trying my best. There's a nice little tire bundle here that's it's kind of helping, but we're doing our best over here.
Now you just gave away my secret of why I'm sitting here. Thanks, Kevin. Good luck today.
He's from the Great White North. He should have no trouble staying warm. This is balmy, I suspect, compared to back home in Canada. Drive-through penalty issued to Austin Smith for that contact that sent Tim Horrell around. That's a bummer for Smith, who's running 9th overall, 4th in the silver class.
Boy, Stephen Mackley just got the hammer down, didn't he? Laid down a 1:30.54, which is about 0.8 clear of Mackay Stevens, and now he's got nearly a 2-second gap there. So seemed like they may have set their tire pressures to come in as we see full course yellow.
For the first time in this hour-long race, full course yellow hangs above the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Not sure what the cause of this full course yellow has been. This is a look at the AM class leader, Custodio Toledo. As I said, great qualifying effort to be up in 5th. Very new to motorsports, certainly at this level. And Tim Horrell is off again. That time he found the tire bundle, and that may bring their race to a premature end.
Charlie Postins has had a nice run as well, beginning this race, qualified in the 12th position. He's up to 9th overall, 2nd in the AM class, and this will certainly compress that AM field as well with this yellow.
Yeah, this brings him right to Toledo. Lagerman right there too, who runs in the 10th spot, and they're all running very similar lap times. Postins, though, the champion-elect, along with James Clay in the AM class, been the quickest among the AM class runners to this point. Another AM class car here, Paul Sparta for Random Vandals Racing, had a long-awaited win this season at Sebring. They've had a lot of misfortune, but it all fell their way, and that was a big celebration.
Saw Al Carter out last night at the restaurant, and he's pretty pumped and looking forward to next year. They got new BMW M4s ordered, and just a team that is really getting all of their pieces in place to really become a force in this championship.
And they've got big plans, too. They debuted a TC program about halfway through the season, ran at 3 or 4 events, and I think they plan on doing more of that in the future with an eye on bringing talent in need of an opportunity into professional racing in a similar way that John Farrow with the Conquest guys has done this year. Mackay Stevens and Gavin Sanders, who we just heard from a few moments ago, both fall into that category. And they've repaid his confidence in a big way. Maybe it's not going to be a championship year. It still could be, but it looks unlikely. However, they've run with great pace and shown their quality, which is exactly what he set out to do with this program.
Yeah, I mean, they came in with immediate force last year, didn't they, when they broke into the championship mid-season. I don't think they scored podiums first event out, but from that point forward, they were always right there. And as I said, similar year this year, they've just come across this force of McAleer and Phil Garris, and the RS1 team have just been so strong and demonstrated again by Stephen McAleer's fast lap, about 3/4 of a second clear of the field. So they have all of the pieces in place, and, you know, it's just one of those years. McAleer, he's on top of his game. He's having a magnificent season across the board in terms of different championships that he's been very competitive in. Eric Filgaris is a young man who's had enormous talent, and he's finally got this opportunity to really showcase what he can do. And they got that chemistry. They work together so well. They're kind of around each other all of the time. They've become very close friends. And, you know, they've been tough to beat. And we think they're going to seal this championship, and they certainly deserve it. But they've been given a tough time by Conquest all the way through the summer.
The equation, speaking of the season that McAleer and Filgaris has had, the equation is rather simple. Putting the pieces together is less so, but a great driver lineup, check, as mentioned. The car is good. This brand new Porsche came, and it's been excellent since it rolled off and made its first appearance in this championship. And then you put a great team behind them to run it in RS1, and it's really no surprise when you have those three components that the end result is what we've seen.
Yeah, I mean, it has everyone else scratching their head because they are excelling. They're just performing at the highest level. They keep raising the bar in terms of pushing all of the other teams in this paddock to try and match it. And you just have to admire it, and you just have to dig deep, and you just have to focus on all of the details. And, you know, there's some teams, they come and then you look at what the RS1 team is doing. They're constantly working on making that car a little bit quicker, and they're very detail-oriented, and it's showing up in the results.
Yeah, really remarkable. The season that they've put together, and a long-time Porsche team just clicking this year in Pirelli GT4 America. Still under the full course yellow, just over 10 minutes into this race. And Amanda, what have you found out down in the pits?
Well, hopefully Eric will go back and listen to those accolades that you guys have been talking about. And Eric, we've talked about this championship over and over and over. And my note is that if you have an 8th place finish at either of these races, you guys are the champion. You're going to take over, so you're going to be in the cockpit for this one. What will get this win here today?
Yeah, I think this is everything that we've been working for all season. Community Beer Works with all of their support, their backing for us. RS1 with how hard they work every single weekend, the preparation during the weekend, the preparation leading up to these weekends, it all comes down to this. So it's doing what we've always done all year. Steven's doing a fantastic job, as he always does, and I just need to hit my marks. I need to not make any mistakes, and that's what we're focused on.
How are you handling the talk around the dominance that you guys have had this season?
Yeah, well, I think there's definitely been some pressure on us, and you know, some of our competitors that maybe are not you know, pleased with it. But you know, we focus on what we can do. I think the saying is, winners focus on winning, losers focus on winners.
All right, I like that little bit of philosophy there from Eric. And in their favor, well, I guess on one hand, the fact that this class has not had a ton of cars this year, it's what's kept this championship relatively close, because even a bad day is not a catastrophic day. However, now this plays in their favor here this weekend. Only 6 cars in class, so if they can make it to the 70% mark, they will score a minimum of 6th place points, and by virtue of that, clinch this series championship.
Yeah, and I think that's hard to make that your main priority, because
Right.
they've got a car that's on the pole leading the race. You just want to go out and clean up and grab another win. I think Stephen Mackler's smart enough that if Mackay Stevens does get too racy, it's okay. You want to win today, but if you don't, it's not a big deal. Get to that 70% mark, score points, that seals the deal, and then you can go racing after that, or certainly go racing tomorrow and try and finish off the season in style.
Just a reminder of the format, if you're new to Pirelli GT4 America, 2-driver format. That's why we've been able to chat with a couple of these folks down in the pit lane. Mandatory pit stop window. It's a 10-minute window between 35 minutes remaining and 25 minutes remaining. And inside of that, you must come in for a driver change. No refueling, no tire changes, which puts a lot of emphasis on the starting driver to make sure that this set of Pirelli P0s is good to go the distance. That probably is not a huge talking point this weekend. We haven't heard much about tire degradation here at IMS, and with the temperatures the way they are, really babying these tires probably is the order of the day.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't think tire deg is going to be a big factor. You can pretty much run hard for these 60-minute events. And with the format, the lower graded driver qualifies and starts for race 1. Obviously, if you're in a total AM lineup or a silver lineup, you can make a choice in terms of who you elect to do the first qualifier and start this first race. So for the Pro-Am lineups, you expect once that pit window opens that the AMs will dive in and get their pros on board to maximize their seat time. And we're not getting far away from that, just over 11 minutes before that pit window should open. Unless this yellow eats into that time, then they will postpone that pit window opening a little bit.
Right now the light's still on the safety car, and this is about the point that is as late as they are willing to go before turning those lights off, thereby indicating that a resumption of racing is imminent. So it looks like we might have a little bit longer behind the safety car as the cleanup continues at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But we mentioned that the Pro-Am class coming in likely quite early to maximize the drive time for the pros, and that's when this gets turned on its head a little bit, and everybody, especially with this yellow, is going to be bunched together. A lot of these pros jumping in. I think we're in store for a really dramatic final run to the checkers.
It's always spectacular,
Yeah.
right, when you get all of the pros in there and duking it out. And but typically the result is determined by what the AM driver did, because the pros are typically so equal and can do a very similar job. But it's the AM that is the big differentiator, and so that's how they set up the day.
Looking through the order here, just to give you an update on the Pro-Am Championship battle. Gray Newell is not a part of it. Ross Schwest not really a part of it either. So you got to get down to Adam Adelson running there in the 3rd spot. Behind him, down a ways, but Scott Noble, maybe this yellow helps him close back up a bit. He's 5th in the Pro-Am class, but he's separated by the top 3 in the Am class, so he's going to have some work to do after this restart to make his way forward.
Yeah, he didn't have a great start, Scott Noble. He recovered nicely. He's got back into his rhythm. It would be a 4-point swing right now in terms of that 10-point advantage that he and Jason Hart have in the championship with the 47 entry.
And I skipped over Elias Sabo. Shouldn't have done that. He and Andy Lee are in the mix too. They run in 4th and are right there with Adelson as well as Newell and Schwest, with just the Conway car splitting them. Should make for an interesting restart coming up in just a few moments. Down to Amanda once more in the pits.
Well, luckily I was able to pry Elliott Skier away from his moving blanket that he was wrapped up in here on pit lane, and we were just talking about it's a 4-way battle in Pro-Am. However, it looks like it's going to come down between you and Nola Sport. What's been the strategy coming into this weekend to handle that task?
Well, the first good thing is that it's Porsche on Porsche, so BOP is not going to play a huge object between the 2 cars. Luckily, the Colt's helping us in the Porsche, and the team have done a monstrous job repairing the car from yesterday's hit. So Adam's saying all is good, and the strategy comes, let's go kiss some bricks and let the rest of it fall into place. You know, if we can able to manage that, then everything else is a good side effect.
I read that quote by you heading into the weekend, that the hope of you and Adam kissing the bricks here at Indianapolis. Talk about some of the highlights and memories you and Adam have made this season, because it's been really a dream one for you guys together.
Oh, absolutely. There's been dreams, there's been highs, there's lows. It's been a whole roller coaster. But to take someone like him who's new into the sport and go through and just experience everything together. He's one of my best friends off the track. We hang out all the time away from the racing stuff. So when you have someone like that you can trust and work with in the race car and out the race car, it just becomes an incredible experience. From
your experience with these laps under caution currently, is there any concern with tires at this point?
Our car's been pretty good at the Colt. The Premier setup and the Porsche Cayman works really well in these conditions. So I've taught him well on how to keep everything up to temp, so I fully trust him to have everything ready to go. The kids learn how to attack and how to be smart in race conditions, so full trust in him out there.
All right, I'll let you get back to the legit moving blanket over there that he was wrapped in.
Got to get warmed up ahead of his stint. It could come down to what he does in the final 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, I bumped into Adam Adelson last weekend at Road Atlanta and talked about this championship. He said, well, we were just doing the GT America for some extra seat time. And suddenly he found himself in the thick of a championship battle. And he said he was very nervous about this situation that played out yesterday, like his worst nightmare of, you know, going out there in that car, and then that's the car that he and Elliott Ski are trying to win this championship with. And then he got hit. Elias Sabo, I'm not sure if he had a technical issue, just lost his braking point or lost his brakes down into turn 1 there and took him out. So, as he said, a lot of work there, Elliott Skier said the Premier team had to do to get that car on the grid today. So for Adam Adelson, I'm sure when he got hit yesterday, he thought, oh no, this is not what I wanted as I try and set up for today. But they've recovered nicely, and seems like he's got a fast car here, running 3rd in class currently and 6th overall.
Now, the Premier Racing team, led by Kent Moore, has done this a couple of times this year where they've had to thrash, had to get the car ready to go for one race or another based off of what happened in a different championship, as you said, using this car, this same chassis in both GT America and Pirelli GT4 America, and they've come through. It's a good little team based out of the Las Vegas area, and they've won 3 races this year. They're just 10 points out of the points lead, and right now running ahead of their closest competition, doing what they need to do to make this a very dramatic finale tomorrow.
Look at Mackay Stevens. It looks like he's trying to gap himself a little bit, get a little bit of a run, get a feel for his car. Looks like we're pretty close to getting this situation cleaned up. Hopefully we'll be back to green here in about a lap and a half.
Yep, our understanding is just repairing that tire barrier is the one hindrance we have to going back to green. Reports are that Tim Horrell is all right. That is certainly good to hear. And so it looks like with the barriers replaced, we should be in a position to resume racing here very soon. But as we talked about earlier, we're getting close to that pit window opening. Behind the safety car, we're doing laps about 2.5 minutes in length. So there's a chance that this window gets pushed a little bit, I think, when we go back to green.
Not sure. They might get around here, and then it might be open the very next lap. We'll
Right.
have to wait and see how it times out. I think we might go green and then pits open the next lap.
You can see the drivers with a bit more vigor weaving back and forth right now. That is typically indicative that a restart is imminent, and in fact, lights are out on the safety car, so just one more trip around this 2.44 mile road course. Looked like Ross West might have locked up a little bit there, trying to generate some heat in those tires. And on a cold day like this, you heard Elliott Skier reference, I've taught Adam how to do this. Let's look at Chris Wilson, getting ready to jump aboard a NOLA Sport Porsche here shortly. But that said, this is one of those days where it's so important to have that technique down to generate as much heat in the brakes, in the tires, to be ready for a restart like this. This could be the best chance to make the move that might dictate the outcome of the race.
Very much so. As Amanda talked about prior to the green flag here today, in terms of how the drivers work with the brakes and the throttle at the same time to generate some temp. And also you do get a little bit of pickup. So you're just trying to clean the tires by weaving around. That's not really doing a lot to generate tire temperature, but just cleaning off those marbles that can be picked up, particularly once you got hot tires when you're trundling around at low speed behind the safety car. TRG boys we've been looking at. We saw Derek DeBoer a little bit earlier. There's Robert Orcutt.
Stephen McAleer got the initial jump when the green flag came out. We'll see if he could do it again, or if Mackay Stevens learned a little something from that the first time by. Gray Newell runs third in line, the leader in Pro-Am, but he's got a very hungry, a very motivated Ross West behind him in second. And then Kevin Conway, he'd love to clear those cars to get up there and challenge the top two in the silver class. He runs third in that class as it stands. Adelson and Sabo, their championship rivals, they run nose to tail. Fourth and fifth, make that fifth and sixth and seventh, there we go, overall. And on down the line we go. Coming to the green flag, into the VP acceleration zone, and the Scotsman Stephen McAleer starts to accelerate away. Looks like Mackay Stevens got a pretty good jump. Newell was able to hang with him as well. Schwest drops back a little bit. Adelson was able to put a gap over Sabo, who's now coming under attack from Custodio Toledo.
Yeah, nice jump there by Stephen Mackler. Really nice start by Gray Newell as well. I thought Schwest might be thinking about making a move, but just didn't really time the run. Side by side there with Sabo and Toledo there as they exit turn one.
It's not for class position. Toledo is the leader in the AM class. Look at Stevens leaning on the back of McAleer's Porsche. They go side by side. This will be tight. Discretion, the better part of valor. Stevens slots back in line.
Yeah, nowhere to go with that, and it's going to allow Gray Newell to have a little bit of a run on him, but it certainly seems that Stevens' car comes to life a little bit earlier on these cold tire runs here, on the initial start and the restart here, but just in the wrong place at the wrong time. He got to the flank of Stephen Mackler, then had to give it up as they went through that very fast chicane.
Challenge for the lead in Pro-Am. Newell and Schwest, two Aston Martins, two different teams, going at it door to door. That all started because Stevens got his elbows out, making sure he didn't lose track position relative to McAleer in their battle for the overall and silver class lead. Oh, great fights all around. Adelson now reeling Conway in once again, and it does look like Toledo made his way around Sabo.
Yeah, Schwest, fourth car in line, that bright red Aston Martin is really putting the pressure on Gray Newell, coming off a great GT America win here yesterday, so his confidence is high. That whistling there as they come onto the front straightaway. Awesome stuff. I mean, for these drivers, some have raced here before, but anytime you come to the Speedway, it is a special moment, and everyone would love to be on the podium or certainly grab that race. Oh, that was wide there. I think that may have been Coleman there. Looked like a Supra potentially getting a little bit wide there onto the front stretch.
Especially in these cold conditions, turn 14 certainly is a corner. It's not just an extension of the straightaway. These guys have their hands full this morning.
It's a challenge. It's a beautiful, bright day, but ambient still in low 40s right now. Track temperature is starting to build.
Pit window will open in just under 15 seconds. So next time by, it should be available for those that are interested. Sabo took a lunge up the inside, trying to get back around Toledo, the out-class leader. Sabo has been separated from the car he is pursuing for class position within Pro-Am. That's Adam Adelson.
So So pit window is just open for the leaders and everyone else in this pack. So again, we think the silver drivers will probably stay out there. But in Pro-Am, you do have the opportunity to dive in, get your pro behind the wheel. But some of these leaders here are doing a really nice job to see if anyone peels off into pit lane. Yes, I think we get the top 3 or 4 cars in Pro-Am heading to pit lane. It's going to be Ian James taking over from Gray Newell, the lead car in Pro-Am for the Hart Racing Aston Martin racing team.
Aaron Povoleto will replace Ross West. It'll be John Jesbray jumping aboard the silver class Smooge Racing Toyota Supra, replacing former NASCAR Cup Series driver Kevin Conway. Adam Adelson and Elliott Skier sharing driving duties there in pit lane. A very busy place, as expected, just as the pit window comes open.
97 seconds is the minimum stop time. You do have that joker to work with once over the course of the 2 races. These teams will race here again tomorrow. Got the 8-hour race this afternoon, so this will be the final race before we get ready and set for the IGTC event here at Indy.
It's the leader in AM, Paulo Karkoski, veteran Brazilian driver, a lot of single-seater experience, replacing Custodio Toledo, who might have had the best stint of his season. That was Sabo hopping out, Lee in. Oh, contact in the pit lane between the 71 and the 51.
Wow, Austin Smith has had quite the day so far, was involved in that incident with Tim Hurrell. I think the car in front of him may have lost drive, so that was what created that issue.
It's Jay Logan or GMG. Oh, it's a drag race coming out. Looks like Schwest and Povoleto Racing got the job done a little bit better. They'll slide in ahead. It's now Povoleto ahead of James in the Pro-Am battle. That was settled here in the pit lane.
Ooh, that was really tight. Perfect, really. A 136.17 stop. So that means they've used the joker, but only had a tenth to spare there without being running foul of a penalty.
And Flying Lizard got the jump on Premier, so it's now Andy Lee aboard that pink Aston ahead of Elliott Skier in the Premier Porsche, and Elliott would love to get that spot back. He's not waiting any time. He is on the attack right away.
Yeah, perfect execution there by a couple of the teams, really maximizing that joker within a tenth of a second of grabbing a penalty there, and that you can see that really has some benefits in terms of track position immediately when you all come in together like that, when you just come off a full course yellow.
Bimmerworld team making their change.
10 minutes to play with there in terms of the strategy. Basically, you go down a lap, we can see the silver leaders have actually lapped these other front-running cars. There's a lap between the overall leaders of the race that you're looking at right now with Stephen Macklin and Mackay Stevens. There you see Aaron Povoleto. Basically, the pit stop delta is right on about what a lap time is here.
Top 2 into the pit lane from the overall 1 and 2 positions. RS1 and Conquest Racing about to go to work here in the pits.
Great job by Mackay Stevens, keeping it tight, keeping it close. Now it's down to the teams to execute side by side down the front straightaway as Andy Lee up against Ian James. James has the inside line there, gets into the ABS, runs wide.
Elliott Skier will follow him through. Those are major position changes for the Pro-Am Championship. We'll have a better sense for it when everything cycles through in this pit window. But those are huge positions, both for Flying Lizard and for Premier.
To see that Ian was really deep into the brake zone there. I think the front end just went numb on him. When you get into the ABS, it reduces the braking a little bit so you don't get that front lock up. Remember, there's no tire changes in this format during that pit stop. You are allowed to adjust the pressures, just do a driver change. That's about it. So Ian should have had pretty decent tire temp when he went to the brakes there.
Calvin, this is huge for Ross West and Aaron Povoleto. A drive-through penalty, pit lane speed violation.
Ugh. Wow.
That's for the Aston that runs just up the road from these 3. That's effectively the Pro-Am class leading car.
That's too bad. They're not in the championship hunt, but certainly they ought to go out with a bang. Ross West won here yesterday, and GT America was mentioned earlier, and the team is really on form here. It seems like they got a great setup for these cool conditions.
That will be heartbreaking. Look at the race off pit lane. A change for the overall lead. Conquest Racing got it done. Gavin Sanders out ahead of Eric Filgaris.
How tight do you like it? A 136.09 within 900ths of running afoul of a penalty. They congratulate each other. Perfect execution there. And you can see what it does. Gives him the lead of this motor race.
But very inexperienced driver, Gavin Sanders. He's been quick since he got the call up to join this team this year. But this is not something he's got a ton of experience with. Eric Filgaris, he's been at this game for a few years now. Oh, and he's looking. He's going to pounce to the inside. Filgaris, this is for the overall lead.
Nicely controlled there by Eric, and he tucks it in. I think he's just going to swing across. He's got to be careful here. Let's not forget, they need to get to 70% distance. They're only at 51% right now to score points here today. So that was a bold, aggressive move there by Eric Filgaris. He was in race mode. He wasn't in championship mode right then.
I don't think Sanders liked that. It looks like he's got his dander up. He is on the attack, looking to regain that position. Again, this should cycle through to the overall lead once the pit stops are complete. Filgaris in RS1 lost the spot temporarily in the pit lane, but Filgaris got it back just half a lap into his stint.
And that was really perfect execution by Eric Filgaris. So often we see drivers dive down the inside, try and roll too much speed through the corner, and just run out wide. He just controlled that perfectly, got the track position to the inside, just used his brake, just held Sanders out there so he couldn't retaliate and try and cut back across him. That was really how it should be done.
By the way, Clay and Poston's, their driver change was quite delayed, some 6, 7 seconds longer than it should have been. It's the AM class champions.
Maybe they had a mimosa to celebrate their championship.
Maybe. Fried chicken and ice cream, maybe. Just a couple minutes left in the window. It looks like everyone but Rooster Hall Racing's Johann Schwartz has come in.
Lead races before. He led at Sebring.
Yep.
And he and Todd Brown have really done a great job this year. They're elevating their game, getting stronger and stronger each and every weekend. Certainly bodes well for 2023 should they return together.
Championship winning team in the touring car ranks, but a big step for Rooster Hall into the GT4 division. Johann Schwartz, though, showing he can wheel it, whether it's a touring car or one of these GT4 BMWs. Brand new M4, by the way, coming next year. So this weekend, the swan song, at least here on North American shores, for this generation of the BMW M4 GT4.
John Jesbray here, doing a nice job aboard that Smooch Racing. Coming off the AM Championship last year, he and Kevin Conway have had a really strong year. Been really impressed with them coming at this championship round, third in the points. So when you look at the competition that's ahead of them in terms of the RS1 team and Conquest, a very strong race season once again.
Now, without a doubt, John Jesbray. Oh, little late on the brakes. He'll have to take the cutout. This is something they're allowed to do. They can't gain an advantage by the way that that's laid out. So that will cost them in terms of track position. Don't think it will cost them any positions within the silver class. However, Johann Schwartz, by the way, does come to the pit lane. Final car into the pits in this cycle. Meanwhile, let's hear from the co-driver of Eric Filgaris. Stephen McAleer led the bulk of this race, and Filgaris got them back to the front, Amanda.
Well, Steve, I want to go back to the move that Eric just made to take back over the lead on the Conquest car. Not necessary when you look at the championship. If you guys just need to finish 8th here today, what does that say about Eric that he wanted that spot?
You know, he's doing such a great job. You know, I led from the start of the race, and the 34 car has to win to keep the championship open. So I do think there's a little to play for there. So I'm glad that Eric managed to sneak by. The 34 car is doing a great job. Those guys have got plenty of speed this weekend, but credit to the RS1 guys and Community Beer. I mean, we're hoping to pull this off today.
I asked Eric how he was handling the talk around this dominance that you guys have had this season. How about you?
You just take each race as it comes. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and when you get a good team with a good driver pairing, you know, you tend to get results like this, and we've just been working really hard, and you know, I've never seen somebody spend as much time on data and video, and he's getting faster and faster, so I'm really happy with how he's gone this year.
Is there anything you would want to say to your competitors?
It's been a blast all season. You know, I'm having a great time here. I'd love to be back again next year. And we may be doing that, but we'll keep that under wraps right now.
I think what Amanda is probing Stephen and Eric for today is there's been a lot of rumors around the paddock, just to be honest with everyone here, that, you know, how can they be so fast? Is everything totally above board? And that car's been torn apart many, many times, and there's been no performance advantage that has been seen. So I was really down to that team executing, and Stephen and Eric doing a fantastic job, and I think they're making a statement here today. It does certainly, at the end of a very strong year, kind of get to you a little bit. It becomes a bit emotional in terms of you know, having other people pointing their fingers at you in terms of why you're getting those results.
Have you been in that position yourself?
I've never been like that. Or do you mean pointing the finger at someone
Well,
else?
I was meaning...
I did have my butt kicked many years ago by Ant Senna.
I was opening it up to you to interpret that however you saw fit, so well played.
I finished second 15 times in 1 year, so let's put it that way.
But to good competition, that's for sure. Good battles all throughout this field here, as Filgueres has cycled through to the overall lead as
that was
expected.
deep.
That's a big lunge up the inside. Somehow they make it through clean.
Oh, and another one. Wow. Pretty bold moves there.
One of the cars, go ahead.
Sure.
Yes. So one of the cars involved, the GMG Porsche, and Logan Stoner. Miller was on the entry list as his co-driver. It's showing Alex Prema, who was his co-driver at Sebring, in the car. Oh, big lunge. Big time lunge. Couldn't quite get it wound up. Somehow they made it through clean though, no contact.
Martinez, who's making those bold moves. I couldn't quite see the car number, but he's certainly been pretty aggressive there in putting the car in some compromising places. Everyone using all the road. There's no track limits being called there on the exit of turn 6, so that's totally legit. But they also said we're not going to clean the racetrack down there, so if you go down there, be prepared for hot dog wrappers and everything else to be flying. Mind you, I think Roger Penske keeps this place pretty pristine wherever you go.
Jaden Lander giving that Krug Speed Supra a nice run right there in the thick of the fighting. Ryan Dexter picking up a spot in the Dexter Racing Supra. 3 wide into turn 12. Somehow, they avoided the carnage that appeared inevitable.
That was Lander, I think, made a really nice move there. Timed that perfectly. Read the situation and just made it happen. That was pretty cool.
This is well down the order, by the way. Somewhere 15, 16, 17 overall and on down. Side by side here. James Clay drops an overall spot. And long pit stop. The world guys looking to recover.
Got a lot of work to do. Karkaski leads in AM now, 6 overall, and quite a ways down the road. He's about good 18 seconds ahead of James Clay, so it's going to be a tall order for James to add to their win tally for the year.
Yeah, great run. Again, Custodio Toledo started it. Karkaski finishing it off, running 6th overall. Aaron Thielitz in the car that Todd Coleman started has set the CrowdStrike fastest lap of the race, a 1:30.3. That is some 0.2 quicker than what McAleer and Filgueres have done in the leading car. So as we've seen all season, Aaron Thielitz, when he gets a chance, he is awfully fast in one of those GT4 Supras.
He is an absolute monster, and he's coming into this weekend with a bit of frustration. Got took out in a heavy crash at Petit Le Mans last weekend. So he and Todd Coleman work very well together. Todd is certainly learning a lot, but Aaron sets the bar extremely high as we're now looking at these leaders once again with Filgueres. Just looking at the clock, they're 65% of the way into this time race. He needs to get to 70%, and the championship will be secure.
Sanders matching Filgueres for pace, but simply if that RS1 Porsche can keep running just a few more minutes, they will clinch the championship with a race to spare. by virtue of making it to the 70% mark, guaranteeing that they are eligible to score points. And with just 6 cars in the field and needing an 8th place finish to score points, the Silver Class Championship is within their grasp.
Andy Lee has that Pro-Am lead right now, coming off a pair of runner-up finishes at Sebring where they were truly competitive. And that Flying Lizard team, Andy Lee and Elias Sabo, have just had a tremendous season, just continuing to build and get stronger as this year has gone on.
Yeah, this is good news for them. They're trying to keep themselves in the championship conversation going into tomorrow. Elliott Skier, same story there. Ian James, he and Gray Newell not part of the championship conversation, but having a very nice run in the 3rd spot. Then we get to Jason Hart. He's 7th overall, 4th in Pro-Am. That's the car, too, that's in this championship conversation. And he is behind the AM class leader and has not been able to make much progress. Actually just made the pass on this lap. And now the pressure is on. Jason Hart needs to track down the top 3 for every point possible at this late stage in the season.
Yeah, right now a Skier running in 2nd. That would be a 4-point swing, cutting into that 10-point margin to make it really tight heading into Championship Sunday. So Hart is on the attack. Needs to try and first catch Ian James and then look after, see if he can get Elliott Skier as well before the end of this race. Not a ton of time to work with, particularly with those cars ahead running pretty competitive pace.
About this opportunity for John Jesbray to learn from someone with all the experience of Paolo Karkoski. Young John Jesbray, very new to racing. Last year was his first year at this level, just 1 year of MX5 Cup. No karting or anything like that in his background. Jumped into the GT4 ranks a year ago and won the AM Class Championship. 1 year later, they're up in silver and are constantly at the front. He and Kevin Conway, this smooth racing team with assistance from Tony Ave, they've been remarkable. And the quick learning, the quick study nature of John Jesbray has been the key component to their early success.
And this is a great championship as we see the 72 car off and looks like it's stranded. That's Lander who's having a really strong run here today. Being shown as 10th in class, but he was a little bit higher than that before he went off, I believe.
And this brings out the full course yellow. This is huge for the Pro-Am Championship because it brings Jason Hart right back to the top 3. Assuming this is a quick retrieval from this gravel trap and leaves him enough time, he should be able to take advantage of that. And meanwhile, we've clicked past the 70% mark. So Calvin, I think it's all but official now. RS1, Stephen McAleer and Eric Filgaris should be the 2022 Silver Class champions.
Yeah, congratulations to those guys. Very, very strong year as we look at this situation with Landy. He took that glancing blow of the car that he was battling there in traffic. I'm not sure if he broke the right front tie rod when he hit that because he was on a bit of a trajectory anyway, but looked like he didn't have complete control of the steering after that impact.
Again, assuming there's enough time for a restart and at least a few laps after that. How do you read this Pro-Am battle with a very hungry Jason Hart looking for back-to-back championships, now back there latched with the top 3 in his class again?
He's loving this. I mean, that just basically erased that gap that he's going to have to try and fight his way through to get to Ian James. So he's going to be on the attack. I mean, Elliott Skier's pretty savvy driver for Andy Lee, looking for their first win in this form of competition this year. Certainly Flying Lizard have had a lot of success in the past and also in GT America, but they're looking for their first win on the year. So it puts the pressure on everyone. And again, just got to prepare now, get those tires prepped, get them cleaned off, try and maintain as much tire temperature as you can for a late restart.
Here at a car that's already clinched a championship back in the AM class. Congratulations again to the Bimmer World team for their great performance throughout the course of the season. These top 2 again bunched back together. Sanders was matching Filgaris 10th for 10th with lap time prior to this full course yellow. Give him another shot. Maybe they can't win the title, but to go out with a win at Indy would be a big deal for Gavin Sanders and Mackay Stevens.
And that's a great point. We talk about the significance of these drivers coming to Indianapolis, and what a memory it would be if you could score a victory here on the Yard of Bricks and something to talk about for many years to come. So we talk about championships and winning a race, but it's special to win at this place.
Stevens did it twice here last year. They swept the weekend. He and Colin Mullen en route to third in the championship. Team that car, they've done it before. Race Vision powered by AWS, top speeds overall. These GT4 cars can haul the mail. A couple of rapid Porsches at the top and matched by a couple of BMWs and not too far off a Toyota. Nice mix of equipment on that list.
Yeah, so many of the brands seem very strong. I do feel that for Sanders and Mackay Stevens, they're struggling a little bit in the straightaway stakes. It certainly seems like that Porsche kind of gaps them a couple of car lengths coming down this front straightaway here. But the car is still very strong on the lap, so it's all about pros and cons as to where the car develops its time. Landy, you can see he's just super, super frustrated. He was having a pretty strong race there, made some nice moves.
He was punchy, no doubt about it, right there in the mix. And a lot of different battles that we were catching. Shame to see it end in the gravel for him and Anthony Girazzi, the whole Krug Speed team.
Phil Garris, I'm sure, has got that message that you're past 70%, so enjoy it, just go race, go for the win now. Don't need to think about being conservative and worrying about the big picture any longer. 6 cars in the silver class here today, so that's more than enough by being classified. Even if they finish P6, that's enough to seal the deal.
So all the focus from a championship perspective now is on the Pro-Am class, and it's been good all year long. It's been impossible to pick a favorite. It seems like week to week, even race to race sometimes. You can't tell who is going to be at the front of that Pro-Am class, and it leaves us with this great battle coming into the final weekend, and it's playing out on the track now, which is exactly what we hoped for.
Yeah, for Jason Hart, he came close so many times with he and Matt Travers. Finally got the job done last year. Then Matt's elected to go and compete in a different championship for the year, so Jason had to find a new teammate. Scott Noble had been working with for a long, long time. Scott's done a tremendous job of stepping up. Big shoes to fill for Matt Travers because he is always so consistent and so fast. And they find themselves with the championship lead, and as they run, they're still in the lead, but it would be slender, only 6 points by my math heading into tomorrow.
And again, the difference between first and second is 7 points. So that makes it pretty simple. The mission, go out and win, and the fate is in your hands effectively. But much can change in the remaining 12 minutes of this race. The cleanup appears to be approaching a conclusion. See the vehicle in the background pulling the Supra out of the gravel trap. And once that's cleared, the track will be cleaned, should actually already be pretty well cleaned off. And then we can resume this battle royale for the Pro-Am title, which has raged since the season began in Northern California at Sonoma Raceway. Beautiful day already. Great to see spectators out here at IMS for this Pirelli GT4 America event. And of course, the Indianapolis 8-hour, 3rd edition of the Intercontinental GT Challenge powered by Pirelli's North American round to be held here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Coming up not long after the conclusion of this race. While we're under the yellow, let's hear from a man who had a great opening stint. Amanda, you're with Custodio Toledo.
He really did, and I just pulled him away from walking on pit lane, said he's trying to handle the nerves. And Custodio, I know I don't want to jinx it or talk about it, but as time ticks down, this could be the first win of your career. You come off of a runner-up finish in Sebring. What has led to this late success?
Yeah, this is incredible. It's my first season ever, and just to win together with my coach here, it should be amazing.
If you could give a word to what the emotion you're feeling right now, what would you say?
It's a big relief, but also very happy, very happy.
Congratulations.
I want also to thank the team here, Conquest, that did an amazing job. It's helping me you know, with the beginning of my career.
Well, 10 minutes left to go to see. Congratulations on a race so far, Custodio.
Yeah, let's hope for an eventful end of the race here.
Had their best result of the season the last time out, finished second in class at Sebring, and have the M-Class lead on lockdown right now with his teammate Karkoski running up in 7th overall. Next closest car is down in 14th overall. So looking like it could be a first win in this class for Custodio Toledo and Paolo Karkoski.
See the quick speed entry being towed away, so hopefully we'll get back here pretty quickly. Lights are out on the safety car, I believe.
Might be right.
It's a balmy 45 out there now. It's really getting toasty.
It is considerably warmer than when we showed up this morning, so it doesn't sound like much, but it is good improvement at least. Safety car has pulled off to its staging post just outside of turn 10 here at IMS, and that leaves the field in the hands of Filgaris. He is now the champion-elect alongside Stephen McAleer in the silver class. Now he and Gavin Sanders simply racing for race wins for the rest of this season. The final 2 races, the first of which is right now, but the battle we'll keep an eye on is in Pro-Am. Andy Lee has the lead. Elliott Skier is second. Ian James is 4th. Jason Hart is 4th. James is 3rd. As we come back up onto the banking and into the VP acceleration zone, the green flag is out and the race has resumed. 8.5 minutes to go at Indy.
Watch deep in the pack there. 6th car in line is Jason Hart. Aboard that Nola Sport Porsche, Andy Lee flicks it out to the outside of Sanders. Where's he going to go with this? Little twitch there by Filgaris. What a move by Andy Lee. Can he keep it on the road? Yes, he does. What a move from 3rd up to the lead.
And crucially, now he's got a buffer. 2 cars between himself and his closest pursuer, Elliott Skier, who runs 4th overall. Skier's got his hands full with Ian James, and Jason Hart looking aggressive as well, trying to claw a couple extra points away from Ian James.
I think Filgaris was so focused on just kind of keeping Sanders at bay. Lee was able to make that deep move on line where the grip is and just swung around the outside, did a really nice job of controlling the brake pressure. But look at this, Elliott Skier down to the inside.
Sanders will fight him for it because his chance to race for a class win rests on it, drops a wheel, falls back in line. That's a big move for Skier because his class leader is disappearing out the windshield.
Jason Hart, they're trying to get to the inside in turn 10 on Ian James, has to give it up. This is a lot of tension here with the championship positions very much on the line. James now to the inside. Looked like Sanders is backing up here in that Conquest entry. His car has not come alive here on this restart. Maybe he just had some pickup on the tires. Jason Hart looks to the inside as well.
Again, time of the essence here, and that's not great news for Jason Hart to be separated by an out-of-class car. Contact there between the M-Class leader, Karkoski, and John Jesbray, the 3rd place car in silver, coming up onto the front straightaway. 6:45 left on the clock, 3 wide down the front stretch.
Great move there by Capestro Debets. He took advantage of that little schmozzle. Now he looks to the inside. What a move by JCD. He's grabbed out 2 or 3 positions. He runs a little bit wide. He may have gotten into the ABS there. Big schmozzle down here in turn 1. This is crazy.
Oh, Aaron Zielitz is on the attack. He's up a couple more spots. That reset with the yellow puts him in contention to challenge for a top 5.
Karkoski trying to hang on here, getting roughed up a little bit by some of the cars out of class with him. He just needs to find a nice quiet place to try and bring it home.
It is fierce behind this top group. Andy Lee, after that 2-for-1 move into turn 1 on the restart, leads not just in the Pro-Am class, but overall. Eric Filgaris, the champion-elect, continues to lead in the silver class, now 2nd on the road. Skier and James locked in a battle for 2nd and 3rd in their class. Also a battle here as Piscatel drops a spot, but then lays the bumper to Ryan Dexter in the Supra. That fight isn't over yet, and Todd Brown is off in the Rooster Hall BMW.
Should be got elbowed out there or just understood off the road, trying to get it back. Hopefully he's in a safe position if he doesn't get going. Otherwise, we could have at least a local yellow there in that area of the racetrack. Not a lot of time on the board to get back. If we should go full course yellow, of course, it could probably end the day.
Dexter had a huge lap to jump up a number of spots. Piscatell trying to take it back. Piscatell dropped 4 positions on that last lap overall, at least. That is not good news for them. Now 8th in the Pro-Am class.
Big battles throughout this field. Big shake-up, but right now Andy Lee leads overall in Pro-Am. Filgueiras hangs on to the silver lead, and now Sanders is down to P6 overall, so a lot of pressure off Eric Filgueiras. He can afford to sit there. That's the second car in line, the RS1 number 18. Be their 10th win on the year. What a season, and the championship is sealed here in this race today. James has done a nice job of keeping Jason Hart at bay, and that is good news for Elliott Skier.
Great news, too, for Andy Lee and Elias Sabo. They're in the championship mix. They're set to score maximum points, and this would be a first career win for Elias Sabo in this championship. They've been close, and how special would it be not just to win but in class, but also overall here at Indianapolis, and it keeps him in the championship hunt.
Yeah, that's the cherry on the top right there. So it's a great day for the Flying Lizard group. Jason Hart trying to do everything he can, but he's got a man with monster experience in front of him, Ian James.
Down to the final few laps of the penultimate race of the season. Andy Lee has accelerated away and left Eric Filgueiras in his dust. The scrap is for 2nd and 3rd in Pro-Am, where Elliott Skier is trying to keep Ian James at bay, and then Jason Hart is right there too, so make it 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Hart heaping the pressure on the veteran Ian James.
He is, and I think you're spot on with Andy Lee running where he is. If he could win this race here today, I think that would keep their championship aspirations open tomorrow. It'd still be a very tall order to leapfrog the 47, but nonetheless, it keeps the title open as the 98 Random Vandals machine hits pit lane.
Drive-through penalty incident responsibility is the information we've received from the stewards as far as that goes. So Paul Sparta, that long drive down the pit lane will cost them any hope at a good result.
Skier is on the attack. He looks to be a little bit quicker than Eric Filgueiras now. He wants to be careful. He will not know necessarily that that car in front of him has clinched the championship, whatever happens. So, oh, Jason Hart there looking at the inside of Ian James. James gets in super deep. How aggressive does Hart get here? How much does he want those extra couple of points? It's actually a 3-point swing between 4th and 3rd. He'd love to grab those.
How hard will Ian fight, knowing they're not in the championship conversation, having missed the last round at Sebring? Two minutes to go, 2 laps to go at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Andy Lee continues to lead. Filgueiras leads in silver, 2nd overall. Then you find Skier, James, and Hart. James and Hart, the best battle on the track.
Jason Hart knows this scenario. They'd have a 4-point lead going into the race tomorrow. He'd love to get those 3 points and extend that to 7 if he can get around Ian James. It's going to be a hectic lap and a half here for Ian James to maintain that position.
Karkoski at the front of this train. He's ahead of Anderson, Prema, Capestra Dubets, and Aaron Tielitz. Here's Prema taking a look to the inside of Anderson. Can't make the move. Tielitz pulls along to the flank of Capestra Dubets, but again has to fall back in line. The cork in the bottle, though, is the AM class leader here, Paulo Karkoski, and he goes off. Oh, what a big save! That might have saved the first career win for his teammate Custodio Toledo.
That was a massive save there, so he's kind of in a position he doesn't want to be in. He's got pressure all the way around him. He's got a big lead over the person who's 2nd in the AM class, James Clay. He's about 5 seconds behind right now, so Karkoski just needs to really use every ounce of experience that he has here to handle this situation.
Dexter was off track in the background, was able to rejoin, but in some traffic.
Tielitz a big run, dragging his teammate along with him, John Jesbray.
White flag is out, 1 lap to go. 2nd to last race of the 2022 campaign. Tielitz to the outside, looking to take 1 more spot away, fighting with Capestra Dubets for 6th Pro-Am, and Tielitz goes around.
Yeah, he just tried to cut back to do the undercut there, the crossover. He didn't realize his teammate had filled that slot a little bit as they all got stacked up in the turn 1 apex.
And contact with John Jesbray. That breaks off that fantastic duel. Rooster Hall BMW in the foreground. That is a lapped car. They had a drive-through penalty moments ago for pit time infringement. So not a factor there except as traffic in this final half lap of the race. Big lunge up the inside. Karkoski settles back in line behind Capestro Dubets. Not for class position, but again, that's a buffer for JCD.
Yeah, for Karkoski, he's just trying to hang on here. He's certainly wanting to know where James Clay is. Now he's getting roughed up once again. He's going to be wide here. Clay is not that far behind. He's got to keep going here. He's got to keep the momentum.
In fact, Terry Borcheller just made the move. That was for the AM class lead right there.
Borcheller had got around Clay and has gotten around our leader. Drama here with just 3 or 4 corners to go.
Coming to the Yard of Bricks, a first win of the season for Flying Lizard Motorsports. Andy Lee and Elias Sabo, they're still in the championship hunt. They win overall, race 1 at Indianapolis. Championship clinched, as well as the silver class win for Filgaris and McAleer. And in the AM class, it all came down to the final couple of corners. And coming through to snag the lead, James Clay Terry Borcheller has come through, did hold off Karkoski. Clay will have to settle for third.
Where did Borcheller come from? Monster last lap there to get around James Clay and then catch our leader with just 3 corners to go. Karkoski was roughed up and Borcheller just pounced.
What a phenomenal final stanza of this race, and it sets the table for a dramatic season finale tomorrow. Elias Sabo and Andy Lee pick up the overall win.
Talking to pick up, everyone else is driving down that kind of off-track excursion there where all the marbles and all the debris is. There's a lot of checks that these cars go through after the checkered flag. One is weight, so you can pick up some extra marbles on your tires. Another one is a minimum ground height clearance. All of that would add to that. Totally legal. It's part of the game. You see it in F1 at the highest level.
Andy Lee, what a drive.
Oh, here we go.
Is he out of fuel?
Something wrong. Wow.
Well, if he's out of fuel, that's cutting it close. And it might deprive us a chance to chat with him about maybe the move of the season on that restart.
Oh, he's celebrating.
All right. Is he going to climb the fence?
Oh, my goodness. Here we go.
Throws the gloves to some happy fans on the other side. Oh, man, this one means a lot. You could tell. To win at Indianapolis is something special. Thought we were about to see Elio's Spider-Man routine.
AJ Allmendinger type move.
Right?
He's excited. Yeah, he obviously had some friends or supporters, partners possibly out there to celebrate with them before he brings it back to victory lane.
And there's so much to celebrate. Let's go back to the move he made. It wasn't for class position, but it put him in the overall lead, and it put that buffer between himself and Elliott Skier.
Well, Filgaris was doing everything right in terms of defending that position for the lead and the class lead, with Sanders putting him under pressure. But for Andy Lee, he just saw the seas open, went to the outside. You got more grip on line there, more rubber, and he managed to get it to stick. I was worried he's going to lose the front end and have that wash out on him, but he just controlled it perfectly.
Well, results from a dramatic race for Pirelli GT4 America here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Andy Lee, Elias Sabo, your overall winners, their first win on the year. And for Elias Sabo, his first win in Pirelli GT4 America. Stephen McAleer and Eric Filgaris come home second overall, but another class win, and more importantly, a class championship clinched with one race to go. Further down the order, what a finish in the AM class. Terry Borcheller, the savvy veteran, never gave up, and when Paolo Karkoski got roughed up by some out-of-class traffic, he was there to take advantage, passed 2 cars on the final lap to jump to the class lead. A massive win, not just for Terry, but for Nick Shanny as well. Brand new to racing at this level. And for Karkoski and for Toledo, they'll have to wait for another day to get a win for their season. One last chance to do it, and that comes up tomorrow. Further down the order, those that did not have the days they were hoping for. Difficult days for some of these drivers and teams, but a chance to regroup overnight.
Unofficially, I think I have the 47 car with a 4-point lead going into Championship Sunday, and now the 8 car 20 points back, but with a win, that would be enough, but they'd need the 47 car and the 120 car of Adelson and Skier to have a very bad day to nip the championship at the wire.
But a 3-horse race going into the finale.
Yep, it's pretty cool.
Sure is. There is the newly minted silver class champion, Eric Filgaris. We'll be hearing from him here shortly. Stephen McAleer, longtime coach and friend, and now co-drivers, co-champions in Pirelli GT4 America. What a season they've had, winning in this new Cayman in multiple series here in North America this year, and now capping it off with another win and a championship and a chance to go out. Pressure off tomorrow.
Yeah.
No reason to think about points, really, for the first time all year.
Maybe they'll have one of those community beers tonight even.
They've earned it with the season that they've had. We'll be hearing from them. Can't wait to hear from Elias Sabo. He's been driving so well, and he set the table for Andy Lee to make that move and ultimately clinch the victory.
He did. Yeah, he looked like he's been having a few sort of like braking issues over the course of the weekend with his other car in GT America, and certainly in this race as well. It doesn't look like he's got total confidence, but he kept it clean today, and as you said, and as we said, it's the AM that can make the difference in these Pro-Am lineups, and there he is celebrating with Andy Lee. Fantastic day for those guys. Always a big smile on Elias. He's a fun personality. There's Darren Law, program manager, coming in for the Flying Lizard team.
That is what victory means at this place. Jubilation in Victory Circle at the foot of the pagoda. Let's hear from the man of the hour, Andy Lee, who's standing by with Amanda.
I know, right? You ready? Oh, I'm ready.
Oh, as they celebrate this moment together, and Elias, your first win, it's an overall win. You guys have put yourself back into this championship conversation. At what moment did you know you guys had this locked up?
Well, when that yellow came out, Andy was leading in Pro-Am, and I was thinking, what a terrible time for a yellow. And then when he had that restart, which was just picture perfect, and took over the lead, and we knew his pace. His pace was better than the leaders the whole time. This guy is not only the best driver in the paddock, he's the best friend of mine. He's a great coach. I just love him, and he brought us to a win today.
Andy, I think you surprised all of us on that overtake there on the restart, but you also surprised us by stopping and throwing your gloves to someone. Talk about the joy of emotion and winning.
I mean, I haven't won a race since 2015, so it's been so long. I had to celebrate, and I can't thank this team enough. My co-driver, Elias, I've been working so hard for so long, and I'm just so proud to be standing up here with him and with Flying Lizard. These guys are just the best.
It's way cool, really cool.
Emotion overflowing.
And he's one of the good guys. Great driver, and great to see him have this new opportunity with this team.
Fantastic. Great team to work with, of course. We saw Darren Law over the shoulder come in to congratulate them. A great driver in his own right, but has been team manager for Flying Lizard and K-Pax in recent years. And all the success that they've had, it's been under his watch in the last 5-10 years or so. Back down to Victory Circle with Amanda.
Well, it is official now. You guys are the 2022 Silver Cup champ here in GT4, and it's been talked about all season, the dominance, now that you can put the punctuation on it. What's the emotion you have right now, Eric?
Relief. I think, we've had such a strong season, and the times that we didn't capitalize, it was a big disappointment. So, all the credit to this RS1 team, Community Beer Works for being on board, supporting us, Steven for being a fantastic mentor and friend to me all season long. And we have one more race, but absolute relief with this championship. So, and enjoy.
Well, Steven, you got to walk down pit lane all the way here in front of the pagoda as a champion, and he says that the word is relief that it feels. You put that hat on signifying another win. Now champion, what word would you use?
This is exciting for me. This is my second SRO championship, and I'm so happy to celebrate it with Eric. And we're going to go out tomorrow and see if we can win another one. There's one more race left. The pressure's been taken off us. And again, credit to the RS1 guys. We plan on get out tomorrow and see if we can put on a show tomorrow.
I have no doubt that they will. That's how they've driven all season long, and it's earned them a championship. Great year. Fitting they clinch it a race early, just given how dominant they've been this year.
Yeah, it's the icing on the cake, and as they said, they can relax now and just go out and try and execute another one tomorrow.
Now, it was a good battle all throughout the course of this race, all mixed up too between the different classes, and definitely one to remember. And we're not done yet, still one more to go tomorrow, and highlights of race one now. It was the RS1 car that started on pole. Stephen McAleer doing the qualifying duties to get them there, able to accelerate away, withstood some challenges from Mackay Stevens in the opening stint. This was a big moment here that sent Tim Horrell around. He had a couple of offs, unfortunately, in this day. Not the day he and Toby Grahovic were hoping for.
No, certainly, and this is a great move here. After the pit stop exchange where the Conquest team got the lead, Eric Filgueras wanted the lead of this race. Championship very much on the line. He had to get to the 70% mark. He put that out of his head and just grabbed the lead with a perfectly executed outbraking move down into turn 7.
Then this, after a late yellow, the restart. It's Andy Lee moving to the outside, already leading in his class. Late on the brakes, sweeps across the nose, takes the top 2 spots overall in one move.
That was brilliantly executed by Andy Lee. And then we see the AM battle going right down to the wire here. Karkowski gets elbowed out of the way there a little bit, and through goes Terry Borscheller. That was him making that move, and fantastic stuff. Here he comes.
To the line, he picked up the win in the AM class, but at the very front, it was Flying Lizard Motorsports, Andy Lee and Elias Sabo, a long-awaited and much celebrated first win of the 2022 season. Owen Hayes and the rest of the Flying Lizard crew celebrating victory. Hallowed grounds of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. One more race in the Pirelli GT4 Americas season still to come tomorrow, but for now, so long from IMS. The Indianapolis 8 Hour is coming up shortly.